and welcome to tonight's programme. We have various topics to cover, and indeed in the studio we've got plenty of studio guests in here tonight. I want to ask our panel first and foremost about Sammy Wilson's amazing photographs that were appearing in a Sunday newspaper, namely the Sunday World. Was it right for them to publish them or not? Jerry Adams, I want to ask you first and foremost.
Well, I think it just shows the hypocrisy of Sammy Wilson and the DUP. He was the one that voted in favour of barring nude bathing on nude beaches in Northern Ireland and Ireland. And for him to run about with his magic wand hanging about as an insult to his party faithful.
Right, Ian Paisley, what's your view on this?
Well, let me say that Jerry Adams has the audacity to say that Sammy Wilson is a hypocrite, when in natural fact, he's the biggest hypocrite here. I mean, he told us 22 months ago that there was a ceasefire. Then the next thing is, he tells the boys to take their suits off and put their working clothes on, i.e. their balaclavas, and go and blow up the Canary Wharf.
Excuse me, Dr. Paisley. I didn't say anything like that at all. I told them to keep their suits on. Sorry, I mean, I was not involved at all in that crisis. I never knew that bomb was taking place.
Right, well, Dr. Paisley, we'll cover that issue in a while, but back to Sammy Wicked Wilson. Did these nude photographs affect your votes in the last election in May?
No, they certainly did not affect the votes at all. They affected Rhonda, though, the daughter, because she put a couple of the pictures of Sammy Wilson on her dartboard and threw a couple of darts into his private parts, prick to prick, if you know what I mean.
Well, I don't see how she could actually put darts on his prick, Dr. Paisley, when it was clearly censored.
Well, as you know, Mr. Cole, there was 3 negatives missing, and we'll not say any more about that.
All right, I think the less said about that, the better. Right, well, Jerry Fitt, I want to ask you, do you think the press was right to publish these photos?
Oh, fuck, your woman showing at some tits in her. I mean, they were just right for handling. I wish I had been taking the photographs. Mind you, you'd have needed a steady hand, and I don't think I'd have been able to manage it there, to be honest with you.
Right, well, do you think it affected the votes, though, for the DUP?
Well, who would vote for that bum there? I mean, he's just an arsehole. He shouldn't have been running around with his bollocks hanging out anyway. And I mean, I tell you what, I've seen a bigger welt than a centipede. He hasn't got one particular mouse, for God's sake.
But the fact that he was over in France, Lord Fitt, on holidays, does that not lighten matters a bit for him?
No, it does not. I don't see why he's running around naked. Is he hard up for clothes or what? Because I have a case catalogue, I'll give him it if he wants. It doesn't matter where you're frilling about. He let the people of Northern Ireland down and his party down.
Right, well, that's okay. John Hume, what's your opinion on this whole escapade?
Well, I don't think people should be allowed to do whatever they want, so long as it does not cause offence. If Sammy Wilson wants to run around naked, that's up to Sammy. But in causing offence to people, then I think he needs to keep his clothes on.
All right, well, let me tell you something, Mr. Hume. Everything that comes out of your fucking gob is an offence. And let me furthermore say that you have no right to talk about Sammy Wilson, who's a member of my party.
Right, Ian, now let him speak. John Hume, continue.
Well, Sammy Wilson should go out and buy some decent clothes. Then he would have nobody poking fun at him. Don't forget, all our people have to respect each other's traditions. We all have to live on this island as one.
Oh, for fuck's sake, somebody turn that slurry pit off, for God's sake.
Right, now, we want to interview Dick Spring. Of course, Dick Spring has come the whole way down from the Republic of Ireland to be here tonight with us. Dick Spring, would this sort of behaviour be accepted in the south of Ireland if politicians were to run around stark naked?
Certainly not. I think they're very respectable politicians, and indeed, if that sort of carry-on was to take place, then that politician would be removed from the office without hesitation.
Well, let me tell you this, Dickie. Let me remind you, son, when Charles Haughey, the then Prime Minister, was doing his gun-running act, nobody was too quick to put him out of his office. Why was that?
Well, to be honest, I was not aware of that sort of thing taking place, and I'm sure he was doing it with his clothes on anyway.
Well, let me tell you here. Let me say this to you. You're the only one that didn't know. But I suggest that you're telling lies. Then I'll tell you now, we couldn't expect anything else from a Dublin government aid. You're trying to pull the wool over our fucking eyes, Dickie. We know all about you.
Now, Dr. Paisley, we're talking about Sammy Wilson here and not Charles Haughey.
Fuck Sammy Wilson. I'm fed up talking about him. It's been a pain in my backside and my daughter's backside for too long, and I don't mean that literally, of course. We're just fed up with him.
Right, well, Jerry Fit, it's a matter of keeping your clothes on, isn't it?
Here, hold on a minute. I never took my fucking clothes off.
No, I mean Sammy Wilson.
Oh, yes, so I keep them on them. I'll all be happy. Let me tell you something. I would never have done that day.
Well, let me tell you something, Jerry. You couldn't afford to go to France in the first place to strip.
Right. Let's just settle it down here, gentlemen. We'll have Sir Patrick Mayhew, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland here. Sir Patrick Mayhew, would you run about bollock naked in France?
No, I certainly would not. And why should I run about bollock naked in France when I can run about bollock naked in England? When you're in the public eye, and don't mean that literally, when you're in the public eye, you will have more focus upon you by the British media, the radio, and the press, etc. And
surely, Sir Patrick, the press or the media never took those photographs of Sammy Wilson. Obviously, Sammy had a camera with a 10-second or a 12-second delay, and before they actually took the photograph, he went and posed, and therefore he took the photographs himself.
Well, in that case, that's his own fucking fault, and I have no sympathy for a man who's meant to represent the Democratic Unionist Party. If he wants to run around bollock naked, then that's fucking his problem.
Right, well, obviously, we asked Sammy Wilson to appear here tonight to defend himself, but he declined the offer, saying, "I'll get you in the long grass." Now, I wonder, does that mean I'll get you in the long grass? Well, fuck, you know what I mean. But say no more. He says he's skint and he hasn't got the money to buy clothes. But anyway, say no more. Jerry Adams, do you think Sammy Wilson should remain or will remain in the DUP?
Well, I don't know, and I don't care. But I do know what the new DUP stands for, and that is Democrats Undressed Publicly.
Mr. Adams, you're pushing the fucking boat out, son. Any more of that, I'll be sticking my boot in you.
Right, now, on a final note, Dr. Paisley, do you think the press should have published photos of Sharon Rivers also? I thought it was a bit unfair.
Yes, of course, because she must have known the risks involved in flashing her Jerry Fits in public.
Here, fucking hell on, keep me here to this.
If you had your chance, Jerry, you'd be well into it, so never mind out of it, now shut your face.
Right, now, Willie McRae, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about Sammy, and why do you think Sammy took his clothes off?
Well, it's certainly very hot in the south of France. And I'll tell you, if I'd have had that big girl with me, I'd have had her kicks ripped off here in Northern Ireland. I would not wait until we went to France. So Sammy was right.
Well, if your man who's anything like your singing, the Reverend William McRae, would just keep them on, do you think the DUP should have reprimanded Sammy Wilson for this? Certainly not. It's not the DUP that's selling Ulster down the river. It's David Trimble and the Ulster Unionist Party.
Willie, fuck's sake, stick to singing for fuck's sake.
I think you'd do a better job if you stuck to singing instead of coming off with the same old rhetoric all the time.
Who do you think you're talking to, Mr. Adams? I'm not sitting here with a gun in my hand under the table.
Nor am I. I'm sitting here with my dick in my hand under the table, you should know.
Right, now, I think that's a typical Republican coming off with answers like that. They can't keep their hands on their tools. Right, now, come on, gentlemen, for fuck's sake, settle it down a bit. John Hume, try and sort this out.
Right, what we need here is dialogue from both sections of our communities. Both traditions need to respect each other's opinions and culture, and we must move forward.
Listen to the fucking white Martin Luther King. Shut your fucking face and away with you. Away and get a haircut, you scruffy git. If you can't manage your hair, your throat will do nicely if you want to get both of them cut. It'll do me all right.
Come on now, gentlemen, this is getting a little bit out of order. Right now, we're going to move away from the politicians and speak to Barry McGuigan. Barry McGuigan, obviously you've been affected by the press in more ways than one. Do you think this will have a strain on Sammy Wilson?
Well, I was straining to see what it was he had in those photographs. It's bound to have an effect on Sammy because, I mean, I wouldn't like everyone to see my burrows and my tickling stick hanging out.
Fuck's sake, we'll have a fucking case here, alright. A fucking nutcase, Barry. Let me tell you something. I'd love to see you making a comeback into the ring again, so we can watch you getting your bollocks knocked in day after day, night after night. You're a cert bet and a fixed odds, son.
Right, come on now, lay off him. Chris Eubank, you've had bad press as well. The press have invaded your privacy. How do you think Sammy Wilson feels about these photographs and that?
Well, let me say this here. that I feel very sorry for Sammy Wilson because he decided to sue a newspaper because his penis is too small. The fact that if Sammy Wilson had a big penis, he wouldn't have sued the newspapers because I think he's just embarrassed, and that's why he's decided to sue the newspaper.
So, I ask you, Chris, if you were in the south of France on holiday with a big school teacher such as Sharon Rivers, would you have went bollock naked?
Well, let me say this here. I don't think my wife Sandra would have allowed me to do this because he would have objected very strongly.
Well, I think we've said enough on this issue, but just food for thought. Sammy Wilson brings a whole new meaning to the school dinner spanking sessions, as I'm sure you've all read about. He's the one that objected to the light-hearted fun and entertainment being dished out, and indeed got the boot into Sandy Blair and Junior Walker over this incident. But I think both of these gentlemen have had the last laugh. Do you? Now, it might seem strange to some, but it's true that paramilitaries are using a point system to determine what sort of punishment gets dished out to the individuals. Now, just an example, for instance, if your son was caught breaking a window, the paramilitaries would come round and say to him, right, you've got 10 points against you. Now, if you go through the 50-point barrier, you're bollocksed. Now, Jerry Adams, is this true?
No, it's normally 15 points for breaking a window.
It depends whose window it was, of course. I mean, if it was your own window, for instance, I reckon the hurley sticks would be brought out.
Since when did hurley sticks fire bullets? I don't think so.
So are you saying this is a point system used by paramilitaries on both sides?
Yes, there is. And before you criticise, I think this is a better method because young hoodlums are getting a second chance and indeed maybe a third chance.
Right, well, Ian Paisley, do you agree with this point system?
I certainly do not agree with this point system. The next thing I'll be introducing is a yellow and red card. A yellow for a booting and red for lead. It's a lot of bollocks. I say leave it to the RUC and let them sort it out.
What do you mean you want the RUC to sort out the kickings and start the shootings? I don't think so. Jerry Adams, do you think the RUC can handle thuggery?
Maybe a bit of buggery, but I don't know about thuggery.
Here, we're talking about the RUC, Mr. Adams, not the dirty paedophile fucking priests.
Right, now, come on, gentlemen, settle it down, though there's no need for that. Now, the Reverend William McCrae, we want to ask you, does this point system work?
No, it certainly does not, because let me say, you're only giving these gangsters a chance to do it again. And I suggest that it's time to chop their hands off. I mean, they would look a bit funny breaking into people's houses. I'd love to see them trying to lift a television or a video then with their hands chopped off.
Right, well, Barry McGuigan, could you think of a way that people could get away with without getting beaten up or whatever else? Is the point system working or what?
Well, here, they could move country, or they could join a boxing club, and that would keep them out of trouble, and it would give them something interesting to do.
Like what, knocking each other's bollocks in? Fuck's sake, Barry, you're polluting the air. What they need to do is go and join the army.
Well, if I can say, we have vacancies in the Belfast Brigade, and if anyone wants an application form, we'll send it out to you, and you'll get an interview with Alex Maskey.
I think I'd rather have an interview with Saddam Hussein. Well, Jerry Adams, what criteria do you need to join the Belfast Brigade?
Well, first and foremost, you need to be honest, a non-smoker, and preferably a non-drinker, but definitely a non-smoker, because one of our volunteers' cigarette end was a bit close to high explosives, and it proved to be highly costly. He wasted the explosives, which we weren't too happy about.
Well, what about the gentleman in question who was smoking the cigarette?
Well, we haven't seen him about, but we don't know where he is. But he may turn up at some point.
Right, well, trying to take these young people to the streets doesn't really help John Hume, does it?
Well, let me tell you something. If they're off the streets and in their houses, then they're okay. They're out of harm's way. What we need to do is get more community centres built. We need the government to put more money into projects for young people.
Listen, let me say this here to you, Mr. Hume. You're talking the biggest lot of bollocks.
Now, I really do think that this is the way forward. I mean, I've already said they should be off the street and in their houses.
Aye, but whose fucking houses are they in? Some old poor fucker's house, cleaning them out. That's what they're doing.
Right, well, Jerry, if it does the point system work or does it not, or is it a lot of old bollocks?
Well, yes, it does work. I think it's a deterrent to try and stop these young hoods from breaking the law. I mean, if I caught someone breaking into my house, I'd break his fucking legs for him.
Well, let me say this here to you, Mr. Vitt. I don't know why anyone would want to break into your house, because there's fuck all in it, only fresh air.
There is something in it. There's, well, fuck, when I remember I'll come to it, but there is something in it.
Right, now, the Reverend William McCrae, is this point system going to work or not?
No, it's certainly not going to work. And I've been at some of the families of these young men who've been beaten with bars, sticks, and some have even had nails embedded in their skin.
Well, Jesus Christ, had nails embedded into his skin, and I don't hear anybody fucking yapping about that there.
Ah, but hold on, they weren't at the end of the baseball bat, were they, Mr. Fitt?
You'll be at the end of this fucking boot here if you don't shut your face.
Right, gentlemen, come on now, cool down for fuck's sake. Right, Sir Patrick Mayhew, we've covered this subject before, and you said that you're going to do something about it, you and the British government. When are you going to get the finger out and do something about it? We haven't seen any evidence of this.
Well, the plain truth is that the British government forgot all about it. But we will find the time to deal with this issue, preferably in the year 2000.
Is that right, you fat bastard? I'll slap the fucking...
Right, come on, gentlemen, for fuck's sake.
Said that I'll stick this bottle in his face.
Right now, for God's sake, come on, give it over. Right, Ian Paisley, this new party was voted in on the May the 30th of this year. Of course, that being the Women's Coalition Party. What good do you think they'll do in Northern Ireland?
Well, they're a good advert for prostitution, for politics, because of the way they got some of their votes. I mean, they were canvassing for more than votes, if you ask me. And as far as I'm concerned, they're a party full of slappers, dull scroungers, and they'll do nothing for the people in Northern Ireland.
Well, that seems a bit coarse or a bit harsh, but Jerry Fitt, do you agree with what Ian Paisley has said?
Well, some of it I agree with. I mean, I had one of them Women's Coalition members coming on to me to get a vote, and I told her politely to fuck off. Now, if she didn't have a hump in her back, that would have been a different matter. I would have considered giving her one. A vote, that is.
Right, well, Jerry Adams, are they a no-hope party or what?
Did you say a no-dope party? Sorry, hope party. Well, they do have a mandate to represent people in Northern Ireland. So I don't see any reason why they don't hang in there and try and expand their party when the voting comes around next time.
Right, well, Jerry Fitt, do you think the Women's Coalition Party can go forward and meet the needs of the people of this country?
Well, they do meet the needs of the people of this country. I mean, they cook, wash dishes, shovel shit. What more can you ask for?
Well, I was thinking maybe of getting the yard brushed in the car, maybe washed. But anyway, John Hume, do you agree that they need to do more?
Well, I think the Women's Coalition Party need to be respected for what they have done. It's not much, but it's a start. And we need to give them the chance to develop into a fully fledged party.
Well, the ones that were canvassing outside my door were fully developed, all right. You want to see the tits on them.
Right, now, come on, Dr. Paisley, there's no need for that. Dick Spring, do you think the Women's Coalition Party have anything to offer?
Big set of tits, and that's about your fucking lit.
Right now, Jerry, come on, let Dick talk.
Oh, fuck. Talking Dick. Go ahead, Dickie.
Well, I think the people in Ireland...
Northern Ireland, you bollocks!
Sorry, I mean in Northern Ireland... can benefit immensely from a new party that has got new ideas, and I hope that they share their ideas with the people in the south of Ireland.
Oh, listen to the spider, to the fly, trying to lure the Women's Coalition Party into his dirty Republican web. I know what you're at, trying to drain their brains. Not that it would take long to do that, mind you, but we know what side of the fence you're on, Dickie.
Right now, Jerry Fitt, do you think the Women's Coalition Party have anything to offer the Dublin government?
No.
Right, well, let's move on. That answers that. The Reverend William McCrae, what have you got to say in the Women's Coalition Party?
Well, all I can say is that the Women's Coalition Party meet with the Dublin government. Then I put them in the same league as Sinn Fein.
They're no good to Ulster. They're trying to sail us down the river. Fuck's sake, Willie, now stick a cork in it.
Right, Jerry Adams, do you agree with that?
No, I certainly do not agree. I don't like the same old rhetoric. I don't like the same old shite that he comes out with. I don't like his singing, and I don't like his bigotry. And
oh, listen to the man of the fucking world, Mr. Adams, man of the world. Jesus Christ, grow your beard a bit longer, and we'll all put you up for the night. Go ahead, Jerry. Right now, come on now. Now, if there's any any members of the Women's Coalition Party listening to this programme that say no one fucking likes us or supports us, in fact, everyone hates us, Jerry Fit,
they'd be fucking right too. They're better going back there knitting jumpers for their grandsons and granddaughters instead of trying to rally against the big boys. I mean, they're in a league of their own. They're not with it at all.
Right, well, Dr. Paisley, I think we've all been guilty of sexist remarks about the Women's Coalition Party.
Well, politics is a tough job, and it's no good running around with your finger up your arse and your mind in neutral in this game. Some of these little parties are about as much use as a nice train a motorbike, and the sooner they leave it to the more experienced parties, like the Democratic Unionists, the better.
Jerry Adams?
well, Sammy Wilson's a great advert for politics in the DUP. John Lennon would have been proud of him, flower power and all that shit. I mean, just think for a moment about the panel on the Democratic Unionist Party. We have Ian Paisley, who won't budge an inch for the sake of our up-and-coming generation. We get the same old spiel and the same old rhetoric. And then we have Peter the Punt Robinson, who's always close by when then Paisley needs to go for a shite. Another bigot that is adopted to his leader's thinking. And then we have the Reverend William McRae, who does more singing than talking, and quite poorly at that. And then we have Sammy the Chippendale Wilson, who likes to burn all for his party. And then we have Nigel Dodds, Ken Dodds' son, the Diddy man, who never changes his spiel or rhetoric. So I think the Women's Coalition Party have absolutely nothing to fear from the same old repertoire from the boring DUP.
Right, well, Ian Paisley, how do you respond to that?
Normally with a size 12 boot, but fight fire with fire. Mr. Adams has done his utmost to upset members of my party. So let's have a laugh at the Sinn Fein lineup. Firstly, we have Grizzly Adams, who's been in jail more times than the average prison warder. Uses violence to get his own way, and uses threats to try and get more demands of the British government. He got a broadcasting ban put upon him because the ozone layer was being bombarded with pollutants. And then we move swiftly to Martin McGinnis, who is the commandant in Londonderry. His experience, well, about 8 years in jail, and he's proud of it. And that's where he gets his education from as well. And it's probably the first time he's ever seen a television. We don't need to go into jail to get these luxuries, as you know. But then we have Alex Take Your Masky Off. He's the bulldog of Sinn Fein, again another porridge lover, who is very fond of hitting members of the RUC. But oddly enough, he's the one that ends up with the compensation claim. And then we go into Martin O'Muller. That man needs a good fucking feed. I mean, he's that thin you can smell the shite through him. If you eat beans, they come out in lumps. I don't know whether he's been in prison or not, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time. So the coalition party, the Women's Coalition Party, have nothing to fear of Sinn Fein, because their track records are as bent as O.J. Simpson.
Right, well, every bit of wonder this country's in a right fucking mess as it is. Now, Dick Spring, I believe you want to play a major role in the affairs of Northern Ireland. Why?
Well, it's because I've made a right bollocks of the affairs in the south of Ireland. So I would like to try and make a...
Let me tell you this here, Springy Dick. Not only do you want to interfere with the affairs of Northern Ireland, but I have heard that you've put your name down to be the next Lord Mayor of Belfast. And if that does happen, son, I'll fucking choke you with that chain, you foreign bastard.
Now, Dr. Paisley, please, I think you've got it all wrong. I think you've got the wrong end of the stick.
You're going to get the wrong end of my boot now. Shut your fucking Springy Dick.
Right now, come on, gentlemen, for God's sake. Dick Spring, is it true that you want to become the new Lord Mayor of Belfast, or is it not?
Well, I don't see why, because why I shouldn't go for it, because, I mean, look at the last few mayors of Belfast. I mean, you had Sammy Wilson, who's going to appear in Playboy magazine very shortly. And then you have Frank Miller with that ridiculous neck brace. I think that neck brace should have been put around his mouth. And then we had Hugh Smith, who wasn't bad. Mind you, a few elocution lessons wouldn't have went amiss. And finally, you have the existing Lord Mayor, who couldn't introduce the President Clinton properly at the City Hall reception at last Christmas. Maybe he was on a high. And I do mean that literally.
Right. Well, the less said about that, the better. Jerry Adams, do you think Dick Spring can play an important role in Northern Ireland?
He already has. He has applied the IRA. I beg your pardon. He has helped in bringing about progress in the talks, but they need to expand. And I personally think that he's a valuable commodity to the talks process, and we hope he still keeps coming on board because we need his valuable experience.
Jerry Fitt, would you agree with Jerry Adams?
No, I would not, as far as I'm concerned. Dick Spring's just another Fenian that wants United Ireland, and that's the truth of it.
Now, Jerry, I don't think that's called for.
Let me tell you, Mr. Adams, you've been licking Dickie Spring's arts dry, and that's why you're sticking up for him.
Well, if that's the case, you've licked a brave few arseholes dry to become a lord.
Well, at least the arsehole I was licking was clean.
Right, come on now, gentlemen. Talking of arseholes, Willie McRae, does Dick Spring have a role to play in Northern Ireland? Yes, he does have a role to play in Northern Ireland. He can fuck off back to the ghettos of the Republic of Ireland, and he can take his baggage with him, because the Republic is a haven for the provost, and it's a filthy, paedophile priest that also stay down in the Republic, and they get their ends away left, right and centre. They ought to have their bollocks chopped off. Fuck me, they might enjoy that. Right, actually, Sir Patrick Mayhew, has Dick Spring done anything to enhance the peace process here?
Yes, he has. He's actually licked my arsehole. No, beg your pardon, seriously. He's done fuck all for the peace process here in Northern Ireland. And I think he should go back to the Taoiseach John Brutal and seek some advice on how to improve the Dublin government's relationships upon the British government.
Right, well, John Hume, do you have a word of encouragement for Dick Spring?
Yes, I do. And I think we need to give him the chance to prove his capabilities. I mean, he has shown that he has the integrity to take on such a tough job. Mind you, he's not succeeding at it, but he'll get there in the end. When, I don't fucking know.
Right, well, lots of words of encouragement there. Dick Spring, will you resign as the Taoiseach?
No, I certainly won't. You must have heard of the growing support that I've had just here in the studio tonight, and my duties I will continue to do.
Let me say, hold on now, Dr. Busy, a final word from you, just go ahead.
Well, I have to say that Dick Spring's presence here is like showing a red rag to the bull. And one of these days, the bulls are going to ram their horns into his midriff, and if he knows what's good for him, he'll pack his bags and get off our planet because he's not wanted.
Fuck, that's not obvious or anything, is it? Right now, Dr. Paisley, we're going to talk about the politicians' worries over the BSE in cattle. Now, we're all fucking horrified by it. But, Dr. Paisley, this should be quite close to your heart because you obviously represent the farmers and all the rest of it. The farmers in Northern Ireland are getting into an all-time low as far as exporting beef. So what can we do to help them?
Ignore them. No, I'm only joking. I say that the British government are to blame for this disaster. They should lift the ban on beef in Northern Ireland. I mean, my wife Eileen doesn't take the beef anymore.
Fuck, that's not what I heard. I heard you divert it, you lucky big bollock.
Mr. Fitt, let me tell you something. You'll be fucking paying a visit to the dentist if you don't shut your trap.
I was only joking, for God's sake. There's no need to get your knickers in a twist.
Right, as I was saying, my wife doesn't touch it anymore,
I take it you're talking about the beef still, Doctor. But
Yes, I am. Don't be trying to be funny. Even the daughter Rhonda doesn't take the beef anymore either.
Well, Sammy Wilson could tell you otherwise.
Look, Beardy Buck, you better shut your mouth, son. And you wouldn't know what fucking beef tasted like anyway, not unless you done an armed robbery to buy it.
Right, come on now, Dr. Paisley. Has the BSE scaring beef, has it affected the troubles in Northern Ireland in any such case?
Yes, of course it has. It's going to bring about unemployment. And I think there's more troubles with the ceasefire because farmers are struggling to make ends meet. They have to take on the trade of Jerry Adams and do a few armed robberies to get by.
Mr. Adams, your response?
Excuse me. I don't do such things. I do, however, count the takings. And that's not the issue here. We're talking about someone's livelihood.
Your livelihood, all right. You're a livelihood, all right. Underlined livelihood.
Say no more about that.
Right now, well, Dick Spring, how can we help these poor farmers?
Well, I've never heard of a poor farmer, to be honest with you, but I think the people in North should mix their cattle with the people in the South.
Oh, fuck, listen to this. We don't want fucking Catholic cows in Northern Ireland. And we don't want to start to interbreed cows either.
But it's going to help the farmer.
Fuck the farmers! They don't want Republican cattle. They want British beef only. Now you just have to listen to Dickie Spring. He wants Protestants and Catholics from both sides of the border to get together. Now he wants fucking cows. The next thing he'll want is Catholic brains transplanted into Protestant bodies. That's not going to happen, Dickie.
Right now, come on, Dr. Paisley, settle it down a bit. Jerry Fitt, would you still eat beef?
Well, if I could reach it, yes. I'm only joking.
Right, we're talking about the beef that you buy in the butcher's, Lord Fitt.
Oh, right, all right, I know what you're talking about. Oh, I love sinking the beef. There's nothing better than a 2-pounder of beef stuck in the back of your gullet.
Right, well, Mr. Fitt, would you stop your kids from eating beef?
Well, my kids are over 20 years old. They can have anal sex with whoever they want.
I take it you're talking about oral sex, Mr. Fitt. I was talking about beef, the meat that you eat out of the butcher's shop. Do you dig?
Why, do you want a fucking fair scrap? I'll knock your bollocks in.
Jerry, go a fucking sleep. You don't know what planet you're on, son.
Right now, John Hume, will there be help for the farmers?
Well, what we need to do is get dialogue between all farmers from all sections of the community. We need togetherness to defeat this serious problem.
Fuck's sake. You sound like an advert for the Royal Irish Regiment, for God's sake. Mr. Hume, can you not change your same old rhetoric, son? Because that's all we get out of you.
Right now, Jerry Adams, how serious is the problem with beef in Northern Ireland?
Well, it's very serious. I mean, I have to go to the Republic of Ireland to get a pound of fucking sausages at the cost of £1. And it cost me £40 in petrol to get there. Mind you, it's not so bad when you've hijacked someone else's car. But the problem is very worrying. And I think, like Dick Spring says, we need integrated fields for your cattle.
Sir Patrick Mayhew, what can the government do to help the farmers and help them in this crisis?
Nothing. I think it's a case of waiting until all the farmers in Northern Ireland start committing suicide. And then the government shall do its best at that moment in time. And that'll probably be the turning point in which the problem will be resolved.
Yes, you, and you're a puppet for the British government, you fat bastard. You don't care about the hard-working farmers. All you're worried about is John Major's backside, if it's clean or not. Isn't that right?
Right now, Jerry Fitt, there have been a lot of culls lately. Is that the right way forward?
Well, I haven't heard of any killings.
No, I mean culls, Mr. Fitt. Culls as in slaughter of young or old cattle.
Oh, fuck, sorry. I thought you were talking about killings or whatever the fuck. Well, the problem is down to that there. It has to be done, mind you. How many people in Northern Ireland have died as a result of BSE? I mean, I haven't heard of any.
Right, well, the Reverend William McRae, you're very fond of your beef. Should it be banned in Northern Ireland or not? Well, let me say, I don't think it should be banned from the north of Ireland, but the south of the border should be banned, because I believe the Republicans are coming over the border and deliberately infecting our cows.
Why, have you noticed something strange about your wife or what?
Don't you fucking say anything about my...
Come on now, gentlemen, sort on it.
Come on now, for fuck's sake, settle it.
I'll slap his face.
Hold on, Mr. Paisley, this is my fucking right. Mr. Adams, you say anything about my wife again, I'll stick my boot in your beardy bollocks. Right, gentlemen, come on. That's the end of the issue. Right now, we were here talking about Sammy Wilson's antics earlier on, as you know, but another unionist was in the news for all the wrong reasons. Ken McGinnis, of course, as you all know, Florida, an old age pensioner, because he was making too much noise. Ian Paisley, what do you say about that?
Good on him, because if I heard my neighbours banging, I'd fucking crack up, and I know that.
But when you say banging, do you mean what I think you mean?
Yes, you think right. I'm jealous because I've been celibate for 3 years.
Celibate here and celibate there, Dr. Paisley, I'm only joking you. Now, the big man, Ken McGinnis, now, he hit this pensioner who was only 5'2" tall, and he was aged 69. Jerry Fitt, do you think it was fair for Ken McGinnis to flatten him?
No, I do not, because he was in the army, and that doesn't give him the right to knock an old lad's bollocks in. I mean, he wouldn't take me on, and I've only got one good eye.
And that's the eye you shout out of.
Right now, come on, Dr. Paisley. When you spoke to Ken McGinnis, Dr. Paisley, what did he say about this fight?
Well, Ken said to me that he was confronted by a man who was 6'2", and he was built like a shite house door. And apparently this man had an iron bar in his hands, ready for action. So Ken done a kung fu kick straight up into the man's forehead. Ken McGinnis then did a cartwheel and a somersault, and unfortunately missed and collapsed into a heap of shite in the corner, and that's what he told me.
Right, well, Jerry Adams, do you see it like that?
Well, I wasn't there.
No, I mean, do you think that's what really happened?
No, I think Ken McGinnis is watching too much of Steven Seagal's movies. From what I was told, Ken McGinnis got his balls rolled by this poor old pensioner, and I mean, McGinnis should uphold the law and not break it.
A bit like yourself, Mr. Adams, a good citizen and all the rest of it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I've had my ins and outs. Well, I think you've been more in than out, Mr. Adams, if you don't mind me saying. In your fucking wife, Paddy.
Right now, come on now, Sir Patrick Mayhew, I don't think there's any need for this debate to be lowered like that. Right, gentlemen, let's stay on course here. Chris Eubank, do you think Big Bad Ken would make it in the boxing ring? I don't think this man should be judged until the facts are released. I do, however, know that his opponent was 69 years old. He had a plastic leg, an arm, and he was possibly blind.
Well, it could have been worse. He could have had a fucking speech impediment.
Right now, Willie McRae, will this bring you in here? Was Big Ken right to flatten this pensioner? Well, I know Ken's a Christian man, and I'm sure he did not beat this shite out of this pensioner for nothing. He must have been provoked to the extreme, because I have known Ken for a long time, and I've never known him to lift his hand in his life. That's why his house is so untidy. Right now, come on, I thank you for that. But John Hume, do you believe that Ken McGinnis defended himself in a fair-minded manner?
I really don't know. Both of these men should have had dialogue before going into battle. That's what we need, is communication and a willingness to articulate each other's needs, not going around and knocking each other's fucks in.
Jerry Adams, do you think Ken McGinnis will be brought to court over this incident?
Well, the chances of that happening are equal to Shergar running in the next national. I think Ken McGinnis, personally, should resign. He's brought a disgrace upon his party and upon the people he's meant to represent. And just because he was a member of the Useless Defence Regiment.
Correct you there, Mr. Adams. It was the Ulster Defence Regiment.
Oh, fuck, I didn't know that. It doesn't give him the right to get away with it.
Well, Mr. Adams, let me tell you something. If Ken McGinnis has done wrong, it would never match the wrongdoings of yourself and your sidekicks of the IRA.
But I'm not a member of the IRA.
But you're the fucking leader of the IRA, aren't you, Balaxy?
Right now, gentlemen, come on.
I'll slap his fucking...
Right, fuck off, mate.
Right, come on now, break it up. Leave his beard alone. Come on.
I'll stick my boot in him.
Right now, come on, gentlemen. This is turning into a fucking farce.
Right, now, the both of these, to be honest, we are barking up the wrong tree because I understood that Martin McGinnis is the leader. Patrick Mayhew, what's your opinion on this?
Well, I don't agree that Martin McGinnis is the leader of operations in Northern Ireland. You'll be getting an operation if you don't fuck up on your back.
Right, come on now, gentlemen. Sir Patrick Mayhew, I wanted your opinion on Ken McGinnis. Should he resign?
No, I regard Ken McGinnis as a loving family man who wouldn't hurt a fly.
Well, if that's the case, he should resign as well, because that man, or should I say, that old age pensioner, had 22 stitches in his lip. He had a broken leg, so I think Ken McGinnis is related to Martin McGinnis. There's a wee bit of rough in the both of them.
Right, well, Barry McGuigan, do you think Ken McGinnis could make it in the ring?
No, I don't even think he could make it over the fucking ropes. He's a pretty boy. He needs to get his act together, and I think he needs a bit of his own medicine.
Barry, son, let me tell you something. You'll be on fucking medicine for the rest of your life if you don't just shit your face, because all you've done has been excreting silage all over the fucking place. We've heard enough of your verbal diarrhea, so could you fucking shut it? Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. That's the end of this debate. Right, Ian Paisley, first and foremost, do you condemn the actions of the Loyalists before and after the 12th of July during the Drumcree standoff?
Certainly not. I condemn the RUC and the so-called British Army who fueled that situation, and I blame the residents of the Garvaki Road for not compromising. I mean, they should have brought us tea and sandwiches down for nothing instead of charging us. I mean, we made Drumcree a fucking tourist attraction. So what the fuck are you barking about? I am not going to condemn anybody.
Right, well, do you not condemn the Loyalist rioting and looting?
I certainly do not. I got a cheap television out of it. So I was happy enough.
Right, well, do you not think that the Loyalists started it, or was it started by Nationalists? Well, Jerry Adams, you answer that.
Well, it was started obviously by Loyalists as a disgrace. And I can't say that I'm surprised with what Ian Paisley has come out with. As far as I'm concerned, Ian Paisley and Sammy Wilson, the stripper Sammy Wilson, incited violence to get their own way. By that I mean cheap TVs for Ian and a cheap suit for Sammy. Mind you, he fucking needed them.
Right, well, John Hume, who in your opinion started all this trouble?
Well, I think it was fucking Keen Billy. Look, what we need to do is compromise and understand each other's way of thinking. We need both sections of our communities to get together.
Oh, for fuck's sake, John, would you change your record now? You're talking shit again, son.
Right, now, come on, Jerry, let him speak. Go ahead, John Hume.
Well, you see, this is exactly what the problem is. We can't get agreement. And by agreement, we need everybody and all our sections to agree.
Right, Mr. Hume, I must agree with Jerry Fitt. I think you should change the fucking record. Right, now, the Reverend William McRae, the standoff at Drumcree cost the security forces an estimated £10 million. How do you account for that? Well, let me tell you something, son. It never cost me a fucking brass penny. All it cost me was my right to walk down there at the Garvaki Road. That's all it cost me. But at the end, we succeeded in walking down there. Right, well, Jerry Fitt, do you think these flashpoint marches should be banned?
Well, I must admit, I do have a bit of sympathy for the Orangemen. Every road they want to march on, they have to ask permission. I mean, what happens if an orange man wants to go down and buy a pint of milk at a shop, and it's up at the Catholic end of the town? Does he have to go and have a fucking residents' meeting before he gets a pint of milk? And I mean, if that's the case, if Jared Brace is there, it looks like the orange man will be drinking fucking black tea for the rest of his life.
Right, well, Dick Spring, what can we do to prevent these flashpoint marches and parades?
Well, I think the people of Northern Ireland will have to negotiate the right to march wherever they want.
Right, let me tell you, what the fuck what has it got to do with you, Dickie? This is not your concern or your business. So why don't you get out of Ulster, get on an Ulster bus and go down to Dublin where you belong?
Well, actually, I don't need to get myself a bus to get home because I have a car in the car park.
Oh, that's what you think, son. See the smoke out of that window there? And it's not even July.
Right, now, come on. Jerry Adams, do you think the Orangemen will get something sorted out for next year's marching season?
Not unless Hoover's giving away free flights in July. I can't see it being resolved. They wouldn't like it. Now, let me put it to them. They wouldn't like it if the Republicans were to march down the Newtonard Road.
Well, I don't know about that, Mr. Adams. I think the Protestant community would relish at the thought that you would want to come down to the Newtonard Road. So why don't you go ahead and arrange it, son? But make sure you bring your fucking crash helmets.
Right now, you two give it over. This is really getting out of order. Jerry Fitt, who do you think, is responsible for this logjam?
Well, I think the RUC and their heavy-handed ways towards people. I mean, the RUC are bad. For example, they fired 300 baton rounds at Protestants compared to 2,500 at Catholics. So I think the RUC were trigger-happy in nationalist areas, and there should be a ban on plastic bullets, and they should learn the RUC arm-to-arm combat.
Jerry Adams, would that be your sentiments?
Well, for the first time, Jerry Fitt's got something right. The RUC should fight arm-to-arm and man-to-man, but they don't.
Right, but the nationalists, Jerry Adams, weren't exactly fighting bare-fisted either. I mean, I saw one particular gentleman with a baseball bat in his hands.
But that particular fellow was playing a game in the park.
On what? How to take an RUC man's head off his fucking shoulders?
Well, that's the name of the game.
Right, well, Sir Patrick Mayhew, do you not accept, along with the British government, the blame for overturning a serious decision on letting the Orangemen walk down the Gervaki Road?
No, we do not make any apologies for mass disruption, injury, destruction or intimidation. That was the fault of the RUC. I beg your pardon, I meant the nationalists and the loyalists alike. Could you tell me exactly what JCB was doing down at Drumcree? It wasn't there to dig up some roads or whatever else. It was purely there to provoke serious riots.
No, the JCB was there to dig your fucking grave, son, if you came anywhere near the place. But unfortunately, you didn't.
Right, now, Dr. Paisley, some Catholic businesses made soup and stew and sandwiches and whatever else for the Orangemen. What do you say to that? That was a nice little note.
Well, the soup was nice. The stew was stinking. And all I got in my sandwiches was butter. So I wasn't too pleased. But having said that, if they had made way as quick as they made sandwiches, none of this would have happened.
Right, well, Jerry Adams, do you think David Trimble helped matters?
No, he did not. He stirred the shade up and provoked the nationalist people, running around like a hard man with a silly mobile phone in his hand, instead of getting in the dialogue through the proper channel.
Well, that's all we've got to say on this matter for now. Thank you. Now, Jerry Adams, Sinn Fein got a massive 22,000 votes in West Belfast on May the 30th in the elections. Why?
Well, a lot of hard work and a lot of costumes, and I think the nationalist people realise that we are the party that will eventually bear fruit.
You mean you're going to get Dale Winton running in your next elections? Let me say this to you, Mr. Adams. I don't know how the fuck you got 22,000 votes in West Belfast when there's only 17,000 Catholics in it. So tell me how you done that, sonny boy.
Well, I'm glad you're warming to me by calling me sonny boy.
I'll warm your fucking ear for you, sonny. Don't try it.
Right, come on now, gentlemen. Let him finish.
Well, I was a bit fucking sure that. As I promised everyone up in West Belfast, the IRA would call another ceasefire. But the British government has put obstacles in our way, so therefore it was difficult to go to the IRA with nothing except preconditions.
Right, well, Jerry Fitt, no doubt Sinn Fein got lots of votes. How and why?
Well, it's amazing what you can get if you've got a gun put the side of your head.
Yes, probably a fucking sore head, that's what you'd get.
But I would be very surprised in the next election if Sinn Fein were to get the same amount of votes, because if they don't get a ceasefire, then as far as I'm concerned, they're bollocksed.
Right, well, Jerry Adams, how do you get so many votes and how did you get them?
Well, Alex Maskey went and voted first thing that morning. And then he went to the gym and lost 2 stones, not the ones between his legs. So a slimmer Alex Maskey went and voted that afternoon. Mind you, if you see men, they were there, they were taking backhanders.
You'll get a backhander across the beak now, Mr. Adams. You're pushing the boat out.
Did you vote yourself?
On a number of occasions, yes.
Right, Ian Paisley, you think there was a lot of personation was taking place here at these polling stations?
Yes, there was. They certainly were. I mean, the Sinn Fein repertoire were buying medical cards for £1. They were buying passports for £2. And I say they should install television cameras at all polling stations. That would cut the nonsense right out of them.
Right, well, I see. Well, Jerry Fitt, how do you think we can stop the cheating at the polling stations?
Well, I don't think we should have any polling stations. And I don't think we should have any votes either.
Well, thank you very much for a very intricate answer there. Thank you.
You've broken up from school and moist and combed your wavy hair.
That'll be a first.
Sammy, are you contemplating going out somewhere? The word out on the street is that you may not be around.
Well, I'll be glad to hear that.
Sammy, please put that camera down.
I mean, I don't know what the fuck made him do that in the first place. One about his bollocks hanging out.
Now in some foreign land you may do as you please.
Just right, too, son.
And if it's done in private, then begging he'll be pleased.
You're fucking right, I'm pleased. You're right.
If you and Sharon Rivers plan once more to let it flow.
So that full of tits of her, boys. There's some tits on her.
Oh, Sammy, would you be wise to go?
Oh, yes, go like a rabbit.
Now getting back to nature may just be a better way. But having photos taken is just that I'd have to say.
Now what, it was very silly indeed.
And it won't be long before the negatives get around.
Oh, and I've got the 3 missing ones.
Oh, Sammy,
Put the camera up your arse.
please put that camera down.
Fucking gobshite.
The DUP are raging at the sight of Sammy's bum.
He might have washed it first.
He could have blown his chances, the party's faithful stun. And if they had some guns, they would have run him out of town.
Well, I can lend him a couple of guns, no problem.
Oh, Sammy,
Hold the guard.
don't take your knickers down.
The dirty fucky.
Oh, Sammy, don't take your knickers down.
Oh, the dirty cat.
Right, Sammy, come on.
Shut up,
Pull them underpants up.
Run around
Get
your
your
legs
knickers
hanging
up.
out.
Are they berries under your arse?
Aye, chuck berries.
I won't get that arse of yours scrubbed, you dirty beast.
Leave me alone, first fuck, Nick. You're jealous of